Hello, I am the instructor for this week. My name is Riza Azni Suhaini. This week's topic is subject-verb agreement. For the subject-verb agreement, I will cover 15 golden rules. Before I proceed with the golden rules, let's look at the basic rule. The basic rule states that a singular subject takes a singular verb, while plural subject takes plural verb. Quite simple if you were to look at this explanation. Singular subject, of course, singular verb. So if you were to look at it in a different way, I would say single people hang out with single people, whereas married couples, they will be hanging out with married couples. So singular subject, singular verb, plural subject with plural verb. Now let's look at the examples here. Talks and talk. Which one is the singular form? So we already know the rule states that singular verb, singular subject together, plural subject, plural verb together. But now the question, which of these is the singular form? Talks and talk. So if you're not able to answer this question, maybe this will help you. Which word would you use with he? Would it be he talks or he talk? So if you answered he talks, then good for you, as that is the correct answer. He talks about his family. He is a singular noun. Talks is considered as singular verb. Therefore, talks is a singular verb. They talk about their trip to Langkawi Island. So here, as you can see, talk is plural verb. Now let's look into the golden rules. The first rule for the subject-verb agreement is two singular subjects connected by or nor require a singular verb. Let's look at the example to understand further. My aunt or my uncle is arriving by train today. So please take note the word or. My aunt or my uncle. If you have this image in your head, aunt and uncle arriving by train, that would be incorrect, all because of the word or. Instead, my aunt or my uncle. So as you can see here, it's either one, aunt or uncle. Therefore, they are seen to be singular. Hence, it is followed by the be verb is, and then your verb arriving. Now looking into rule number 2. Two singular subjects connected by either or neither nor require a singular verb similar to rule number 1. Rule number 1 was just or nor, but now they are in pairs, either or, neither nor. Let's look at the examples given. Neither Juan nor Carmen is available. So again, neither Juan nor Carmen is available. As you can see, no one is there. So we look at it as singular. That is why you use the singular be verb, which is. Moving on to rule number 3. When I is one of the two subjects connected by either or neither nor, put it second and follow it with the singular verb am. So again, let's look at the example given. Either Erica or I am attending the wedding. So I usually tell my students this story relating to the word I. I, of course, indicates yourself. So as You know, when you talk about yourself, often you should be proud of yourself. So, of course, that is the reason why the I is always capital. No matter where in a sentence, it is always capital letter. However, as proud as you are about yourself, you should also be humble. So when you construct a sentence, it is always followed by people or others first, only then yourself. So for example, when you construct sentences such as my friends and I, my family and I, it should not be I and my friends or I and my family. So here, you must remember that when you have subjects and I is one of the subject, it should always be second or third depending on the list of name. In this case, either Erica or I, and of course, as you know, after I, the be verb for I is am. So either Erica or I am attending the wedding. Now let's look at rule number 4. Rule number 4 states that when a singular subject is connected by or nor to a plural subject, put the plural subjects last and use a plural verb. So from the first few examples given, you always had a singular subject, singular, or, nor, and then another singular. Now, when one of them is plural, the plural subject should be last. Let's look at the example to understand more. The serving bowl or the plates go on that shelf. So as you can see here, the serving bowl is one, or the plates would be plural. So you do not construct a sentence, the plates or the serving bowl, right? Similarly, when you count number, you count 1, 2, 3, not 3, 2, 1. So of course you start with the smallest to the biggest. So similarly, for this, the serving bowl, which is 1, or the plates, which is plural. So of course, since your subject is plural, your verb must also be in plural form. In this case, the verb is go. So the serving bowl or the plates go on that shelf. Next, we will look into rule number 5. When a singular and plural subject are connected by either or neither nor, put the plural subject last and use a plural verb. So quite similar to your rule number 4. Let's look at the example here. Either Jenny or the others are available. So again, you have your singular, either singular, which is Jenny, or the others, which is plural. And of course, after plural subject must be followed by plural verb. In this case, are. So the first 5 rules basically covers the usage of or, nor, either or, neither nor. Now let's look at the rest of the rules. Rule number 6. As a general rule, use a plural verb with 2 or more subjects when they are connected by n. So if you've learned back in your conjunctions, and is considered as plural because 1 and 1, of course, they are considered as 2, not as individual. Now let's look at the example here. Joshua and Jessica are my best friends. So here we are not saying that it's just Joshua or it's just Jessica. I'm referring to both Joshua and Jessica. So here, of course, it indicates plural because 2, right? So we use the be verb are followed by my best friends. Now let's look at rule number 7. Sometimes the subject is separated from the verb by words such as along with, as well as besides or not. So when you see these phrases, you should ignore these expressions when you want to determine whether to use a singular verb or a plural verb. Now let's look at the example to understand more on this. The politician, along with the newsman, is expected shortly. So here, my subject is actually only the politician. Along with the newsman, this is actually additional information. If you notice, there is a comma after my subject, the politician, along with the newsman, another comma. So technically, this here we can actually remove. The sentence actually is, the politician is expected shortly. So along with the newsman is actually considered as another entity. It is not together with the politician. Therefore, I use the be verb is because politician here is only one. So if I were to change the sentence into the politicians with an S, then only I would put are expected shortly. Now let's look at rule number 8. So rule number 8 for the pronouns each, everyone, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, someone, and somebody, they are all considered as singular. Therefore, it is required to use a singular verb. So do not be misled by what follows of. Let's look at the example here. Each of the girls sings well. So here you might get confused. Girls, they are considered as plural. So why should I say sings? Because sings is a singular verb. As I said just now, do not be misled by the preposition of. Here I am more focused on each. So I'm actually looking at the girls individually. So since I am looking at them individually, that is why I use the singular verb sings. So she sings well, she sings well, so each and one of them, right? So each of the girls, so one in that group sings well. Another example would be every one of the cakes is gone. So again, even though cakes are considered plural, but I'm referring to for each set of those cakes, every one is gone. Now do take note of everyone as in one word. It actually refers to everybody, whereas every one, where it is separated, it is actually considered as each one. For rule number 9, it states that with words that indicate portion, for example, percent, fraction, part, majority, some, all, none, remainder, and so forth, you have to look at the noun in your of phrase. In other words, it is the object of the preposition for you to determine whether to use singular or plural verb. If the object of the preposition is singular, of course you must use singular verb. If the object of the preposition is plural, then you have to use plural verb. Let's look at the example to understand further. 50% of the pie has disappeared. So here, pie is the object of the preposition of. And how many pie is there? There's only one pie. However, 50% of it has disappeared. So since my pie, there's only one pie, therefore my verb should also be singular. Now let's look at the next example. 50% of the pies have disappeared. Now pies is the object of the preposition. So as you can see here, I have 4 pies. Now 50% of those 4 pies would be, of course, left with 2. But nonetheless, I started off with 4 pies. And 4 pies meaning it is plural. Therefore, I use have. Another example would be using fraction. 1/3 of the city is unemployed. Again, my object in this sentence is city, and of course 1/3 is the fraction, therefore is unemployed. Whereas 1/3 of the people are unemployed. So here my object is people. People, as you know, are considered as plural, therefore followed by plural verb. So do take note that when you use fraction, you need to hyphenate all spelled out fractions. Next, we will look into rule number 10. Rule number 10 indicates that the expression the number is followed by a singular verb, while the expression a number is followed by a plural verb. Now why is it just because of a difference in article a and the usage of verb changes? So the reason is the number of people we need to hire is 13. So here, as you can see, the number is referring to basically a number. It can be 1, 2, 14, 15. So even though they are considered as a lot, for example, 30, 40, 50, all these are still considered as one number. That is why the number is considered as one number. And what is the number here? It is 13. On the other hand, when you use a number, for example, a number of people have written in about this subject. So a number here actually not referring to 1, 2, 3, just that singular number, but in other words, it actually refers to several. So several people. So of course, several people would be considered as plural. That is why a number can be considered as a plural noun followed by a plural verb. Now let's look at rule number 11. So for rule number 11, when either and neither are subjects, they always take singular verbs. So the example, neither of them is available to speak right now. You can also say, either of us is capable of doing the job. So if you remember the first few rules indicating the usage of either, or, neither, nor, so they are always considered as singular. So if you have neither or either as subject, of course, they would be followed by a singular verb. Next, we will look into rule number 12. For rule number 12, in sentences beginning with here or there, the subject follows the verb. The determinants here or there actually does not indicate whether the subject is singular or plural. So in this case, after here or there, you have to look at the subject, as it can be either one. And of course, after determining the subject, whether it's singular or plural, then only you can determine the verb. So let's look at the example here. There are 4 hurdles to jump. There is a high hurdle to jump. So the first example here, there are 4. So 4 hurdles. So here the subject plural, therefore there followed by the be verb are, because your subject hurdles in plural form. There is a high hurdle to jump. Here there's only 1 hurdle. So after there is followed by is. This is because your subject hurdle is only singular. Next, let's look at rule number 13. Rule number 13 states that use a singular verb with sums of money or periods of time. So for example here, $10 is a high price to pay. So of course, sums of money, it is a total sum of money. Therefore, you see it as singular subject. Next, 5 years is the maximum sentences for that offense. So here, 5 years, we are not looking into the years itself, but we are referring to a duration. That duration for the maximum sentence is 5 years. That is why it is followed by singular verb. Now for rule number 14, when the pronoun who, that, or which is the subject of a verb in the middle of the sentence, these pronouns become singular or plural according to the noun directly in front of them. So if that noun is singular, use a singular verb. If it's plural, of course you use a plural verb. Let's look at the example to understand further. Salma is the scientist. Now here, your subject is scientist. And scientist here is considered as singular. So who would be following the subject. Therefore, your verb must be in singular form, which is writes. Next sentence is, he is one of the men who do the work. So here, before the pronoun who is men. Therefore, men who do the work. Right? So students often question, why is it not who does the work, as it is considered as he. So here, he is one. He is already followed by is. Therefore, you don't need the be verb or verb for the object he. In this case, we want the verb for men. So it will be men who do the work. Now the last rule for the subject-verb agreement, rule number 15, indicates that for collective nouns such as team and staff may be either singular or plural, of course, depending on their use in the sentence. Let's look at the example here. The staff is in a meeting. So here, staff is acting as a unit. That is why we use the be verb is to indicate that staff is singular. Next, the staff are in disagreement about the findings. Here, staff is acting, or in this case, the staff are acting as separate individuals in this example. So here we are looking at staff as individuals, each and one of them coming to a disagreement. So I see them individually, therefore I state the staff are in disagreement. Now if you look at the sentences here, how would you know whether I am referring to a single unit or I'm looking at them as individuals. The best way or the best solution for this situation basically is to use the word members. So by constructing the sentence into this, the staff members are in disagreement about the findings. So the reader understands that you are referring to the staff as individuals, whereby it is followed by plural verb. If I were to say the staff is in disagreement, so that means I look them as a unit. So by using this word member, it actually makes a difference. So similarly, if I were to say team and team members. So team, of course, I see them as a unit, whereas team members, I see them individual. So team, I would put followed by a singular verb, whereas team members would be plural verb. Thank you.